It's easy to be a pessimist. It's really difficult to be an optimist. So what if we be that surprise for people? What if we show other people that there is still good and positivity in the world? Why can't you go and be that person for other people? You create that joy. You go first. You have hope first. You be happy first. You treat other people like they're important first. You shine your light first. Welcome to the Energy Within podcast, helping you to embrace your weird, remember who you really are, and take action on your soul's purpose. My name is Carrie Jokala. I am your host. I am a Reiki master teacher, a fitness instructor, a wife, a mom to 2 little boys, and this is episode 202. And I'm back in the car recording. It is raining outside. I'm not sure if you can hear the rain or not. I know when I listen back to the recording, you can usually tell the moments when I'm driving versus when I'm stopped at a red light or something. But I don't know if you can hear the rain, but I'm actually kind of okay with it. There was a time in my life, basically the time when I was growing up, where my internal mood, I should say, not necessarily the way I interacted with other people. I didn't get crabby or anything like that, but my internal mood, I would get really, really sad and almost a little scared sometimes when it was cloudy or raining. I'm not exactly sure why, but I had a little fear of tornadoes showing up. So anytime it was cloudy, like I didn't know what the clouds were supposed to look like or not when a tornado would show up. So just anytime it was cloudy, I'd be afraid. And then if there seemed like there were a lot of tornado watches when I was little. And I don't know if it's just because I don't watch TV that much anymore that I don't see or hear any tornado watches anymore. But they send a lot of those things to our phones these days. So I don't know. Anyway, that's just a little side note. But I'm enjoying the rain now. And despite my occasional fake whining about everyone preparing for Halloween, even though my birthday hasn't happened yet and I have a summer birthday, I do actually really like fall. So I'm actually kind of okay with you prepping for Halloween if that's what you're doing. But today's episode, I'm not really sure how it's going to come out, where it's going to go. It's kind of more a plea than anything else. So, thoughts and ideas that I know I've touched on multiple times before, but kind of bringing them together in a sense, I guess, in this one. So I'm definitely not a full-on, like, kumbaya, can't we all just get along kind of person, but at the same time, on some level, energetically, I am. Only because I see and fully accept the possibility of everyone being able to get along despite our differences, like still being able to maintain who we are, what we believe in, but without everyone getting so upset at other people, not intruding on other people's beliefs. That could be a whole conversation on its own. I'm not going to specifically dive into anything like that today, but this is more just that wish, a desire for more positivity in the world. I'm truly sick and tired of anyone talking about toxic positivity or getting upset when people offer thoughts and prayers when there's a disaster such as what's going on right now with the fires in Maui and any big tragedy. People have gotten so upset about thoughts and prayers, saying that they don't work, it's not what we need. And before I go on to my plea, let me just, since I brought that up, this is just my thought. You don't have to agree with me. If you think thoughts and prayers are BS, that's fine. But if you're here, I'm guessing you probably don't think that it's BS, because this is all about energy. And energy is just important, in my opinion, as the physical things. Like, yeah, the physical things are needed. And I've talked about this before. We're still human. No matter what, we still need to take care of ourselves physically in disaster situations. Physical help needs to be taken care of. But the energy is just as important. And there's someone that I follow. We've been on a couple Zoom meetings together, so we've sort of seen each other face to face in that sense, but really, I guess, still more of an acquaintance than anything. But she has a beautiful energy. She lives in Hawaii, and I believe in Maui, from what I understand, from what I've seen of her posts. But I remember her recently sharing something, that if you're not able to help in any other way, what can you do? And very heartfelt, she said, just send us love. Like, energetically, just send us love. And that goes back to what I was talking about last week and what I've talked about before. That, no, we don't want to be blind to what's going on. We don't want to ignore the things that need our attention in this world, the things that need to be helped, fixed, made better. But some of us, ideally all of us, but at least some of us, enough of us, have to come together and maintain at least some sort of hope, if not a full-on positivity. Because nothing's going to change if we all just basically give up and live in the lower energies where everything is doom and gloom, everything is screwed, believing nothing's ever going to change, that there's nothing that we can do. I'm not telling you what to think, what energy to be in, or that it's wrong to ever have thoughts like that. But at some point, we got to come out of it. Some of us have to hold the hope that the rest of us need. And kind of more what prompted this plea for us to just be a little bit more positive, to ignore the unnecessary negativity, the trolls that are out there just purposely trying to upset people and start fights and create drama for their own entertainment. The people who wake up and their entire purpose for the day is just to see how many people they can piss off. It's like the whole bully thing, and I don't know how well it works or doesn't work, but they always say that if you don't give the bully any attention, that eventually they'll give up and go away. And I know that's not true in actual bully situations all the time, but you see how it can work. If they're not getting the reaction that they want, they're going to get frustrated. And theoretically speaking, they'll give up. Maybe not right away, but eventually. And maybe I'm taking too many prompts from social media because I know it's not a true reflection of people in the world and the way people really think. And people try to say like, oh, it brings out people's true colors. And yeah, maybe it does, but you also don't really know what's going on with anybody. But nonetheless, I came across in my scrolling on Instagram a couple really positive, heartfelt videos. One was kind of sad, but it involved a beautiful moment. And it's kind of a sad moment at the same time, like I said, but so I won't go into it because I don't want to make you cry. But the other video was literally just someone recording themselves playing on a piano in a cafe somewhere. And I don't remember the name of the song because I probably don't even know the right way to pronounce it, but it was an opera song. And supposedly there happened to be an opera singer or a guy who knows how to sing opera in the cafe, and he jumped in and started singing. And it's presented in the video as if it just happened. And as I was thinking about it, I'm like, before I went to any comments, I'm thinking about how this guy got all these different angles. You could see that he had two different phones set up on either end of the piano, recording himself playing. And you can sort of see, obviously, some people then next to him, including the guy who started singing. But then there were some other views. And before I went to any comments, I'm like, oh, you know what? Whether or not this was staged, I bet he got the other shots by simply asking people who recorded to send him their videos. And I go to the comments because I have that morbid curiosity. I can't help myself. And the vast majority of the comments, no one commenting on how great the piano player played, how great the opera singer sounded. Everyone commenting like, oh, maybe there was a little compliment, but then they had to throw in how, well, this was staged. I know my opinion probably isn't worth anything, but this is just part of my plea. Rather than leaving a comment on a video, this is my plea in general for any video. Who cares? Who cares? Like, all the crap that's out there on social media, all the negativity, all the news stories about all the horrible things that have gone on, all the stupid pranks that people do, things where people are being awful to each other, filming that and posting it on social media. We get beautiful videos of amazing stories, musical talent, things that are more fun, things that make you smile or laugh or shed a happy tear. And then the comment sections are just full of negativity and people trying to debunk things and like I don't know where I'm going with this other than just the plea for us to just put a little bit more light, a little bit more positivity, a little bit more hope out into the world, just in general. I'm not even saying on social media specifically, but just in general. My podcast is still relatively small considering the rest of the podcast world. It's taken 200 episodes to reach 20,000 downloads, which is still an amazing feat that I know most people who start podcasts don't ever get to. So I am very grateful that you're here and that you're listening. But my hope is that regardless of not having millions of downloads, millions of listeners, that those of us who are here right now listening to this episode of this podcast, that we can be one part of that spark in our own little area of the world, wherever you are. Years ago, when Camp Turbo Kick / Camp Do More was a thing, it was a fitness conference put on by Chalene Johnson back when she owned her certification companies for some of the formats that I've taught. And you didn't have to be an instructor to go to it, but many of us who did go were instructors, and then some of them would drag friends along, and I tried to bring friends, and then they just ended up not being able to swing it for whatever reason, but that's fine. But 2 years in a row, she brought in Winn Claybaugh. I don't remember his exact affiliation, if he's a founder or somehow with it, but he's high up in, I believe, the Paul Mitchell world. He wrote a book called Be Nice or Else. And I haven't read the book in a long time, but I still have it. And I still, even though I haven't read it in a long time, highly recommend that you find a copy and read it. But he said something about how to treat other people. And it's not even intentionally the normal golden rule that we've heard. It was to treat everybody like they're wearing a sign or a button or something on them that says, "Make me feel important." Which, obviously, admittedly, can be very hard to do if someone is being rude, if they're being mean, if it's someone you just don't like for whatever reason. But to go into interactions with people with that mindset, looking at it from the point where you don't know what someone's going through to make them act the way that they're acting. Now, that's not in any way saying to excuse someone being rude or even downright abusive in their words or the way that they're treating you. It's not being a doormat. It's not just accepting whatever someone is doing that is not right. But it's what I've talked about before. It's going into things, at least trying to understand where someone might be coming from, which can just simply change your approach in how you interact with them and how you react to how they're being. You can still put your foot down. You can still make it clear that their behavior is unacceptable. But can we go into interactions with an understanding that people are dealing with things that we don't know about? And that perhaps even through putting our foot down on something, if we're showing a level of compassion and understanding, that maybe that's the light that they need, that helps spark something in them. Maybe it doesn't create an immediate change, but maybe it starts the wheels turning. And I know that sounds highly idealistic. I know it does. But what if? Could we imagine a world where people treated each other like that? If we get enough people to start treating each other with that mindset, how things could change. And yeah, a slow change. But it's got to start somewhere. And for it to be a lasting change, we've got to play the long game. You can't force change. Not true change. You've got to be okay with playing the long game. You've got to hold on to hope. And I'm not trying to tell you what to do by saying you've got to do this, but that's just my belief. But I do believe it's possible if you're willing to play the long game. If you're willing to find the balance between putting your foot down when it's necessary, but coming from a place of love and understanding and compassion. And let me be the first to say I am not perfect at this by any means. I'm just like you, doing my best on this journey and just simply here sharing my thoughts and hoping that you'll come along. I mean, truly, you could change someone's day and potentially their entire life just by being yourself and being a light. Having hope. Being positive. Being realistic. I believe that positivity, that optimists are the true realists, not pessimists. Because pessimists are always like, well, I'm just realistic. No. You're all doom and gloom, and that's what you're expecting. And that because that's what you're expecting, that's how it tends to work out. And then you get to go, see, that's what I said. I believe the same can be true for optimists. It's easy to be a pessimist. It's really difficult to be an optimist. But with enough practice, it gets easier. And I think I do have a little bit of an advantage. I've been someone who's been pretty optimistic my entire life, even in my down periods. I think I've always had at least a tiny spark of hope where I can't give up on things. And I don't know. I wanted to believe that that's natural for all of us. I think some people would try to tell me that that's not true for them. And I can see in some instances for people how it wouldn't be. So maybe I have a bit of an advantage in that sense, that tends to be my natural state. But I want to help you make that your natural state if it's not. Or at least help you remember that used to be your natural state, to help you get it back if it feels like you've lost it. Because you can. You're the one in control here. And I think the last thing I wanted to bring up, there's another post where a lot of the comments didn't agree with the post. But I think people, in my opinion, were misunderstanding what the post was saying. And you've probably heard this before, but it's the importance of the pause. But this particular post says 7 places to stay silent at all costs. Now, I took it to mean at least to start off with silence, as in take a pause. Don't react immediately. Be silent in the heat of anger. Be silent if your words can offend a person. Be silent if your words can destroy a friendship. Be silent if you can't talk without yelling. Be silent if you don't know the full story. Be silent when you feel too emotional. And be silent if your silence can save bonds. And from what I saw of the comments, it was nothing but refuting each of the different slides. Someone would pick one and talk about how that's not really true. But what if we replace be silent with take a pause? Take a breath. Take a moment to go and retrieve the memory that tells you to treat the other people, like, they have a sign on them that says, make me feel important. And I know people would even argue with that too. Well, what about me? I'm important. No one's treating me like I'm important. You set the precedent. You go first. And you hold on to hope. If you're not willing to, that's fine. But if you're willing to, do it. And stick to it and play the long game. If we want to talk about how words can hurt, because I know they can, then take a pause. I do believe that the majority of us don't ever intentionally want to hurt anybody, even with words. And even then, too, if someone else says something that has upset you, that I guess this aligns with the if you feel too emotional one. Or if you're getting angry about something that someone else is saying, take a pause before you respond. We don't have to agree with each other for us to get along. I truly believe that. We just need to learn better how to get along. Like, it's almost a little surprising to me. If you look at the world of customer service, I'm almost surprised to get great customer service these days, because it seems like everybody's so annoyed. Everybody's in a bad mood. Everybody hates their job. And I get all of that. But if we put that sign on people, make me feel important. I mean, you guys, I got the most amazing customer service at a Walmart in an area where, let's just say, I wouldn't expect to run into anybody who was really nice or willing to help. And this guy helped me find the bike that I was looking for my son. I felt like I was in like a high-end store with the lengths that this guy was going to help me. So what if we be that surprise for people? What if we show other people that there is still good and positivity in the world? What if we purposely put more positive content out on social media? Like a balance between sharing reality, sharing what we're struggling with, but showing hope, shining our lights, lifting people up, making people smile, even if it's just something stupid that makes people smile. Like this one video, or multiple videos of these guys, I think I saw they're from a band called Hooch. And I'm actually going to try to see if I can remember to link some of these videos so you can go watch them and see what I'm talking about. These guys, I have not looked into the rest of their music yet, but I've seen a few of their videos. They also, I think, have their separate Instagram accounts. So there's like Traffic Cone Sax Man or Sax Guy or something like that. And then I forget the other guy's name, but they're usually tagged together in these videos. One of them, the Traffic Cone Sax Guy, walks in, and I was in a band. I was in a concert band in high school. I should know what kind of saxophone this is. It might be a bari sax. I don't remember. Whichever one is bigger and plays the lower notes. But he puts a traffic cone in the horn of his sax and then walks into a cafe or a little restaurant, a little shop of some sort, and starts playing a random riff. And then a few seconds in, the other guy dressed as a cop blows a whistle and walks in and says, "What are you doing?" Goes like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, and then together they both launch into Barbie Girl. And he's got an alto sax. And it's just fun. And they just play for like 30 seconds and then they walk out and they move on. Fortunately, most of the comments on those videos are fun and supportive, but you get a few where like, way to ruin someone's day who went to a cafe for a quiet blah blah blah. It's like, you know what? Yeah. Okay, I would be on your side if they went in and they put on like a full concert out of nowhere and wouldn't leave. If you went there to like read a book and have a cup of coffee, or have a meeting where you want to talk with a friend that you haven't seen in a while, or maybe you're doing a work meeting on your computer or something, who knows? But 30 seconds of something just simply intended to make you smile. Do we have to look for the negative? Do we have to look for the downside? I don't know. Maybe that's toxic positivity to some people, but I don't think that is. I think the only toxic positivity can be directed at ourselves, where we are pretending that we're happy or that everything's fine when it's not. That's toxic positivity. I don't believe that toxic positivity can be forced out on anybody else. But what if we be that surprised? Like, I would love for a surprise like that to happen in a cafe. Like, where are those people in my area of the world? And if, you know what, I mean, I'm not about to go do it, but if you're that excited by that idea, but there's no one doing that in your area, what the heck? Why can't you go and be that person for other people? You create that joy. You go first. And one last note on optimists and pessimists. If we really do want to see positive change in the world, if we really want to manifest that, if we want to talk about manifestation and even prayer is not about simply wishing for what you want to fall into your lap, everything to magically fix itself for you. There has to be action, but there also has to be the belief that it's even possible. So that's where hope becomes important for me. Because if you wish for something yet you don't actually believe that it's possible, then no, it's not going to happen. So maybe this is a journal prompt, maybe a meditation prompt. Sit with yourself and what do you actually believe could be possible? Do you believe the same things that I'm talking about? I hope so. Because I want there to be enough of us to create that spark, to create that light, to start reaching for that freaking Christ consciousness that everyone claims to want. Well, let's actually work for it. Let's actually do something. Shine the light, raise your vibration, raise your frequency, and with a healthy dose of realism, do your best to stay there once you reach that point. Do your best to get back there if you do have moments where you're feeling sad or upset or frustrated. Know that that's okay, but then get yourself back. Create that spark of hope and then put it somewhere energetically where you can always be reminded of it, where you can always find it again. And again, I know I sound super idealistic, but I don't care. You have hope first. You be happy first. You treat other people like they're important first. You shine your light first. That's the only way any positive, lasting change is going to happen. That I know for a fact. That's where I'm going to wrap it up. I would like to invite you to take advantage in these last couple of weeks of the founders pricing for the Glow membership. I might be tweaking the subtitle of the name just a little bit because I was given a suggestion when I posted on my Facebook of something that sounded really cool. I think it was the Confidence Collective. So I might be changing that part to that. But I still like Glow. We're keeping Glow. And this month's live meditation is coming up this Saturday at 1 o'clock Central Time. But you can always catch the replay if you can't be there live. And I'm pretty sure because of today's podcast episode that the meditation is going to revolve around confidence and having hope. I could already kind of feel that. But now I have it in words. And like I said, this is the last month, so you have until my birthday, August 31st, to get the founders pricing, which is only $33 a month. I'm pretty certain I'm going to raise it to $55 starting in September. So if you are at all thinking about it, now is the time to get in because you lock this price in forever. So the link to that will be in the show notes. Hopefully the link to some of these videos that I've been talking about, including maybe a bonus one that I was going to talk about but then didn't find a way to weave it in. A guy who pretends to need a couple extra bucks for something or need help with something, and then when people actually do offer, he gives it back to them and then hands them like $1,000 just for being kind. Also, why can't that happen? I'm just kidding. Kind of. But I'll put those links in there, hopefully, if I remember. So send me some good energy, even after the fact. because obviously you're listening to this after I recorded and posted it. But all those links will be there, including the link for the membership, so I hope to see you in there. It is my goal to get this thing to grow and be huge and create a movement of confident people. So that's where I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time.